Planet Crafter just released a new DLC called Humble Planet, and it's up to me to terraform this brand new world. Join me as I spend 100 days transforming this barren wasteland into a thriving paradise. So let's begin. Going to my journey towards the new planet, I can already tell that there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done. Alright, so welcome to your assigned planet. Your mission is to advance the process of terraforming this world. You will need to generate oxygen, heat, and pressure. First, reach 175,000 Ti to create a blue atmosphere. Gotcha. First, I looked up my crafter and what was available to craft before I headed out. Because I have a little amount of oxygen, so I should make use of the time that I can go out. Also, I grabbed a bunch of stuff from the chest that I obtained inside my ship. As I head out, I immediately gathered all the materials I can get. Iron, silicon, titanium. I just gathered whatever I can see that's near my base. Then there was this new ore called dolomite. While scavenging the area for materials, I found a random chest. I of course yoinked everything inside. I'm just glad I had enough room on my backpack to get everything. Continued gathering materials until my inventory was full and it was time to go home and craft a bunch of upgrades to our current gear. A bunch of goodies, but more specifically, I prioritized both the backpack and the oxygen tank. And with this, our inventory should have expanded by a lot. Just look at that, we have 4 extra slots. I then crafted the other stuff like the torch, the deconstruction chip, and the construction chip. So for the torch, we will now have a flashlight. For the construction chip, we can now build other stuff. And for the deconstruction chip, we can deconstruct stuff to get back all the materials. Right now, I scavenged my area. I was thinking that this area was not a suitable base because there's so many mushroom-looking giant trees around me. So I wanted to look for a flat ground. And as I ventured around, I saw this cliff where it looks like I'm just gonna die if I fall there. So I went to the other side, of course. Anyhow, I continued my adventure, grabbing anything I can get. I actually had no choice but to go home from time to time because I don't have any oxygen. I still couldn't find a decent area to establish my base. I eventually remembered the idea of making a living compartment out of nowhere and then just going in to like breathe some air. And so with this trick on my sleeve, I continued my adventures, not fearing running out of oxygen because we now have a trick to survive a prolonged journey. I then found this wreckage right here. I wasn't really sure what these things are. It looks like a heater, but actually it was explosives. But since I was running out of air, I did my thingy again and look, free oxygen. And we can just dismantle this after we're done breathing air. I eventually decided that this flat area would be my base now. So finally, we have a place we can call home. Let's go. So I immediately got working on expanding the place, but for some reason I encountered a problem where I can, build more in that area. I did not factor the fact that this area was actually full of small rocks. So I may need to make some foundations so I can, raise my building a bit because these small rocks are very annoying. Maybe I need to move. So yeah, I kind of surrendered, so I just made some foundations on the ground so I don't need to think about the small rocks on the bottom parts. Finally, I eventually had a place I can call home. Finally, this time for sure. Look at this big space inside. Anyhow, I crafted myself this thing called a blueprint screen, which enables me to unlock or see the upcoming blueprints I can get after getting some maybe oxygen, pressure, or heat for the planet. Also, I made myself a crafter here so I can craft a bunch of goodies that can upgrade my gear. So first off, there was this thing called mining speed and also an exoskeleton. So with exoskeleton, we can increase the amount of items we can equip at one time. I then planned on making this thing called the ore crusher, and this thing uses the new ore called the dolomite. So this is what the ore crusher looks like. It's only tier 1. I had to make a windmill first because I didn't have enough energy to power this thing. And as you can see, it's still not enough. I need more iron to make more windmill. And after crafting the second windmill, I now had produced enough power to power the ore crusher. So what I do is just insert the dolomite of the back of this thing. and wait for it to crush the dolomite and give us some cobalt and other ores. So for now, I focus on gathering the nearby ores in my new base. Also improve my base, like adding some stairs for like convenience in climbing up. I then increased the amount of windmills I have on my base. I did not have any other energy source aside from this windmill, but it's working great. So anyways, this is the table of what the new ores will give us. So dolomite give us cobalt, the red looking one gives us aluminum, and the square looking one gives us the iridiums, uraniums, and super alloys. So I'm looking forward to gathering more of those types of ores. So for now, I made a second one because it processes really slow. Like really slow. And with some iridium on hand, I then made myself some heaters so I can start heating up the planet. So made this thing that will show me how much energy is consumed and how much is left. So it means I need to make even more windmills right now. For now though, I chose to upgrade my gears, like making the exoskeleton that would upgrade my items that I can wield. I then found a chest that contains something called an explosive. And it says it's used to blow up something, so I was pretty curious about how this works. I was thinking that if I blew up this thing, it might give me items, but as you can see, yeah, nothing happened. But the drone looking thing did have something of interest. It had the blueprint microchip. I was very happy with this find because every blueprint microchip we can get, we can learn a new blueprint or recipe to craft. I also continued experimenting with explosives to see what would happen, but as you can see, yeah, nothing. Anyways, as I explored the map some more, I found a volcano on the right side and a sulfur area. I'm assuming it's sulfur area because it's yellow and it was like exuding yellow gas. So yeah, probably sulfur, right? And now that I have extra energy and extra material, I started crafting the drills so we can release pressure to the environment. And while minding my own business, for some reason, some meteorites decided to crash where our base is. I was hoping that I can get some iridiums or uraniums from these things, but it doesn't look like it contained any ores. I approached the meteor and it seems it contained silicon, iron, some random ores that I already have. I was expecting something like what I don't have, like iridium, uranium. Anyways, as our terraformation index grows because of our drill and our heater, we have unlocked new recipes like the tier 2 backpack. I'm very happy with that because I have more inventory space with that thing. Since my items were starting to grow in numbers, I made a bunch of storage boxes in my base, so at the very least, I am organized. I then continued to make heaters in my base, the more I get iridium from random chests all over the place, but as you can see, I ran out of energy and I had to spam a bunch of windmills again. Because of all the drills I've made, I've actually unlocked a recipe called a living compartment window, and what it does is it converts our current wall into a glass wall, and with this, we can see the outside being pretty. So we're not just in an enclosed space. Well, we still are, but it's glass so we can see the outside. And yeah, as I said, it looks pretty to look at outside when you're inside your shelter. Let's look at that. Nice, right? I then crafted myself a terraformation screen. So with this thing, I can see how much heat, oxygen, or pressure I've been making so far. So this is a really good information display. Right now, we don't have anything that produces oxygen, but at the very least, our heat and pressure are starting to go up. I then headed back to the starting place because I did not fully explore this area. I found a bunch of blue boxes that contains random items and I'm very happy to discover these. For this place, nothing really stands out. It's just like dead looking mushroom coral thingy. I don't know how to describe these giant things, but the chests, they are very rewarding and the trip here was very nice. And on my adventure here, I eventually stumbled upon an area that looks like snow, a snow mountain, as you can see just straight ahead. My goal here were these things, the ice. I needed ice to make something called a veggie tube, and with a veggie tube, I can insert the plants and, you know, produce oxygen for the world. And so I followed the trail of ice, looting every ice I can see on screen so I don't need to come back here anytime soon. Also, ice was really useful in making water bottles because we need to hydrate ourselves as well as keep ourselves full in this game or we die from either thirst or hunger. I got a really sweet notification. It says I unlock a tier 1 solar panel. Solar panel provides more energy than the windmill, so I'm very happy with this upgrade. And so upon returning home with ice on hand, I have made myself the tier 2 veggie tubes. Also, because I was running out of energy, I crafted a bunch of solar panel, but well, I was missing some cobalt, but good thing I had some dolomites that I was processing earlier. Now I had a lot of cobalt. I didn't need to worry about running out of any of these ores. Anyways, back to the veggie tubes. Now that we have these, we can insert the plants that we have gotten so far, and with this, we can now produce oxygen. So we're slowly, day by day, increasing the amount of terraformation index we can do for the planet. I made a couple of these veggie tubes since I had a lot of ice on my inventory right now. So yeah, I will make one for each plant that I have on hand. I also recently unlocked a blueprint for a tier 2 heater. I can make these, but I was lacking a really important ore called aluminum. So I need to find the source of aluminum as soon as I can. But for now, the tier 1 heater would work. I then decided to make a second floor on my base just to expand the amount of plants I have. I wanted my base to look fancy, so I don't want everything to get clumped up together in one area. So this really works well. Look, a second floor with glass compartments. And of course, I'm adding more veggie tubes up here because I still have more plants on my storage. I then ventured towards the volcano. I assume that's where I'm going to find the aluminum because I had no idea where I should be going, so I think volcano is a wise choice right now. And upon arriving at the volcanic place, I saw a lot of iridium and was very happy to harvest or get all of them. And there were these huge chunks of rock that requires explosives to open. I did not bring my explosives with me, so I will think of coming back with some explosives later on. Anyways, I continued to get all the iridium that I can find here. Also, I unlocked the tier 2 drill. So nice, we can release even more pressure in the environment. I eventually found the new ore called the bauxite. So these things, as we can see earlier from the ore crusher, these are the things that gives aluminum. And I was very happy to find a lot of them in the area. Also, heading deeper inside the volcano, I found aluminum. I was very happy because now we can make the tier 2 heater, which produces way more heat than the tier 1 heater. It's incomparable. And wow, tier 2 solar panel. Let's go, more energy for us. I then found a really strange thing. And of course, I can assume that this thing is important by how it's designed. It looked like an egg, so I assume it's important. So I will remember this place and come back later on. For now though, I wanted a shortcut to go down, so I just slid down a wall or something and I survived, so I'm pretty happy. Anyways, with inventory full of iridium and a lot of bauxite, it was time to go home, craft tier 2 drills and other stuff that I can craft now. These things were way better than the tier 1 one, and it also gives like a lot more pressure than the tier 1 one. So I just disassembled or dismantled the tier 1 drills. And as you can see, I really need a lot of solar panels for this in order to make these things run. So I had to dismantle one for now because I didn't have that much solar panels. I also unlocked the recipe for a tier 2 ore crusher. So with this, multiple ores can be gained from one bauxite, dolomite, or the last ore. It also requires a lot of power, and this is very annoying. We really need to make those solar panels. So let's make the tier 2 solar panels. These things will definitely give us a lot of energy compared to the tier 1 one. So tier 2 provides 19.5 energy, while tier 1 only provides 6.5. So yeah, as you can see, we're having many energy now. We can make like a lot more drills, a lot more heater without thinking about the energy we are gonna be using. Anyways, I have replaced my tier 1 ore crushers with tier 2, and it looks bigger than the tier 1. Of course, it's an upgrade after all. Now that I had some aluminum on hand, I crafted myself a tier 2 mining speed microchip. Also, I plan to make the agility boots because I got some fabric along the way from getting a bunch of chests. So this agility boots will increase our movement speed by 15%, and that's amazing. I love movement speed, so I can travel to places much faster. I also made a second floor buildings for our heaters because, as you can see, I've been occupying a lot of space recently with my tier 1 heaters. Also, even with my scarce resource for aluminum, I decided to make myself a food grower. my amount of space food that I have won't be enough to actually keep us alive for long. So I really need to make myself a food grower. The seed, I have myself a eggplant seed that I got from one of the chests I've gotten so far in this game. Anyways, I'm pretty proud of my base so far. As you can see, it looks really nice. Well, to me it is. Alright, continuing on, I made myself a terraformation stage screen so I can see what stage we are right now. So currently we're on barren and we're at 21% towards a blue sky. So I wanted to check outside of how blue the atmosphere is, and as you can see, it's already pretty blue compared to when we started. But I also think it was already blue when we started, so I'm not sure. Now, I continued expanding my drills and my solar panels. So my priority right now would be to unlock new blueprints from terraforming the planet some more. So the more I terraform the planet, the more blueprints I unlock. Sadly, I don't really have that much aluminum to be able to make like tier 2 heaters. So I just spammed the heck of tier 1 heaters. Since I have a lot of iridiums anyways, and I can get back the materials if I deconstruct them later on once we have aluminum to make tier 2 heaters. Eventually expanded the second floor to a 2x3, giving us more space to place more items like food growers on the second floor. This is what the second floor looks like right now. Pretty empty, just the plant and the heater on each side. And I plan to make a lot more heaters. And then continued my exploration. Everything looks so dry right now. I can't wait for the terraformation to progress so much more that we can see like water and grass. So for now, let's embrace the dust. Eventually found like an abandoned area which had signs of life, I guess. So I got a lot of chests from here. There were also machines, but I couldn't deconstruct them because a tier 2 deconstruction chip was required. And I didn't have one right now. So I'll come back here sometime. But I can deconstruct the tier 2 solar panels that's here. So we can make another solar panels at our base. So these are free solar panels. Let's go. My goal on this journey right now was to head back to the ice area because I needed more ice for more veggie tubes. Also because I was running out of water bottles and I didn't have any water source at the moment, so I needed ice. Actually found out while gathering some ice that there were a lot of uranium and something called a uranite. 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 So yeah, uraniums and uranite were uranite. I'm pronouncing it right, I think. Or butchering it, whatever. So anyways, I got a lot of uraniums and uranite. Yeah. So with this, we can expand our base some more. Especially the uranium. With uranium, once we unlock like the nuclear energy, we'll have a lot of energy source with this uranium. There was just so much ice and uranium uranite to get here that I plan to come back. Of course, and there was also a lot of chests that contain a lot of goodies, but I just don't have the inventory space right now. So I placed down a beacon. I will come back here once I go to my base and store everything I've got so far. For now, I continued gathering everything that I want in the surroundings and make my inventory full before getting home. Upon arriving home, I crafted this thing called a communications antenna, and what it does is it will receive messages for us from outer space, I guess. We need to pair it with the screen transmissions so we can get the messages that was received from our antenna. I'm not really sure if this thing was important, but yeah, we just got a message from Sentinel Corp. So yeah, it's just the rules of what we should and should not do, and we can't leave until we terraform the planet. I'm not really sure if I was a criminal here because I have a sentence. And in order for all the charges against me drop, I must fully terraform this planet. So okay, cool. Alright. Gotcha. Anyways, checking my terraformation stage progress, we're at 54% to a blue sky. Also, I upgraded my storage to these lockers right here. These things will hold more items than the small blue boxes. I also placed down a beacon on my base and colored it white and named it base. This way, I won't ever get lost and I will always know the way to the base. I also made another food grower as one wasn't enough for sure. Actually made more. I wanted more food. Also, eggplant is gonna be useful later on. Anyways, I continued mass producing my drills and my solar panels. Right now, pressure is the only thing that's increasing my terraformation index, as my tier 1 heaters can't really compete with tier 2 drill. I mean, I should just get more aluminum and make like tier 2 heaters, and that would solve the heating problem. And since I have an extra aluminum, I made myself one tier 2 heater. Anyway, since I needed more aluminum, I headed back to the volcano to collect more bauxite and also some iridiums along the way. Actually wanted to go deeper, but the moment that I stepped near the, splashing flame lava thingy, I felt like I got damaged. I'm not sure if I was just thinking it or I was really damaged. Because when I tried to dive deeper, my health bar just went below like very fast. So yeah, I had to run away. I skedaddle out there and maybe just collect the bauxite and iridium that I can see from the outside instead. I was lacking in both water and food right now, so I didn't have anything to heal me up at the moment. Upon returning home, I noticed that my progress was 88% to a blue sky. Let's go! Anyways, with the lack of aluminum, I just crafted a bunch more tier 1 heaters. And like I said, I can just get back the iridium, so it doesn't really matter to me. But an upgrade is really necessary though if I wanted to progress in my heat area of the terraformation. But this will do for now. I then crafted this thing called a recycling machine. I had a bunch of super alloys with me that I don't really use yet. And I know that super alloys required like aluminum to make one. So I dismantled like 3 super alloy I had just to get some aluminum so I can make the advanced crafting station. I then expanded my base some more because I was running out of space to place the advanced crafting station. So now we live on a 3x3 box. I made a little area for all my screens. I made it look decent, even added a table for the looks. So with this, all my screen progress is in one area and I have an easy access to checking it all out. And as you can see, we're already at the blue sky stage. And we're like 13% towards the cloud stage. Also, since I had space now, I made myself the advanced crafting station. And with the advanced crafting station, we can now make some iridium or uranium rods, as well as a tier 1 jetpack. We just need some iridium rods, plus some uranium and super alloy, and we can make a jetpack. Let's go. I was very happy that I already had the materials on hand to make the jetpack. Now I can fly, and I crafted the tier 1 jetpack. I also upgraded my exoskeleton so I have room for the jetpack. I also recently unlocked the tier 3 heater recipe. So with an iridium rod, we can make a tier 3 heater that produces so much more heat than the tier 1 and tier 2. And the amount of materials that I require is not really that high compared to previous tiers. We also have the tier 3 drill, which I'm excited to make as well, so we can produce even more pressure. So everything is progressing very smoothly. I'm very excited for the cloud stage so we can see some clouds in the sky. So this is what the tier 3 drill looks like. It's a really giant drill and it produces so much more pressure than the tier 2 one. Also, if you notice the green thing, I already have like the nuclear power plants. So I use a bunch of my uranium rods to make like 2 of them. And these things are a powerhouse. They provide a lot of energy for us to use. There's so many stuff I've unlocked recently. I'm very happy with the current progress right now. And since I had 1 more rod, I made a 3rd one. Just look at the progress so far. Everything looks so cool. Everything looks fancy. I then went to the sulfur area because I needed some sulfur. I wasn't really sure if this was a sulfur area. I just assumed because it's yellow. And I was correct. I found some sulfur on the ground and collected as much as I can before going home. I actually found a wreckage in the sulfur area which contained a robot again. So with more blueprint microchip, I'm very happy that I will be able to learn more recipes. Also, there were these big black boxes. There were actually storage that contained a bunch of goodies inside as well. Exploring the sulfur area was very worthwhile. I got a lot of materials from this. And while continuing my journey, I found what looks like obsidian looking giant rocks. I believe this is obsidian for sure. It looks obsidian. Anyhow, there was also a ship here, and I was very curious if I can go inside the ship and loot whatever is left behind. So I went inside the ship. There were a bunch of those drone things again, and they give the blue chips as well. There were also a bunch of chests here that I can get the items and also decompose for some iron. Sadly though, I can't enter the ship because it required a tier 2 deconstruction chip. So yeah, I'll just put a beacon here and come back later on. For now, I went to the volcanic area to get a lot more bauxite because I needed more aluminum. On returning home, I checked my terraformation progress and look, we already reached the cloud stage. Next, we'll have a rainwater. So the next thing we need to make is a rainwater collecting thingy which gives us water bottles. I also unlocked this new thing called a grass spreader. So what this thing does is it both gives oxygen and plant for the planet. So with this, we will surely spread some greens in the area as well as spread greens all over the planet because we're increasing the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere. Just look at the tiny grasses on the ground trying to sprout. We're almost there. I then crafted a bunch of tier 3 vegetubes just outside my base. I can't really make it inside the base, so I placed them all outside. Also, because of my trip to the volcano, I now had a lot of iridium and some aluminum, and I made myself some tier 3 heaters. I also expanded all my drills, and look, we have a lot of drills. Yeah, more pressure to the planet. Eventually unlock a blueprint called the ore extractor. I was very happy with this because now we can passively grind ore. We don't need to look for it. One problem though, it needed an ore called osmium and I don't have that and I don't know where to find some. So I guess we won't be able to make this anytime soon. I then decided to head back to the ice mountains towards the uranium area where there were a bunch of chests that we left that we didn't get because we didn't have any more inventory space. And as I was exploring the cave, I was pretty amazed of how pretty it looks, and there it was. The osmium was trapped in the ice. So we gotta wait for our terraformation index or the amount of heat that we produce to be higher before we can get to these osmium. Oh my god, it's just there, but trapped in ice. As I continued my exploration in the ice cave, it seems there was a tunnel that led to like the area we were looking for, the one that contained our chest. But there were also a bunch of goodies here, like random chests and random drones that contained the blue chips again. I was very happy on where I explored. I found new items, free items, and other goodies that I wouldn't have found if I went to the same way where I went to the place where I was before, if that makes sense. Exploring some more, I found some super alloys along the way. So I thought this cave might be full of super alloy. So I've been getting a lot of them, so I decided to mark this with a beacon as a super alloy cave. I mostly marked the areas where I can find like rare materials, so maybe I can put like an ore extractor here and it will give us a lot of super alloys in the future. And while exploring around, I was so happy to see rain falling from the sky. We have done a great job and we now had made this planet rain. We are probably at the rain stage or maybe close to the rain stage. So this was an achievement. Now there's rain. So I imagine there'll be water puddles soon that we can get water from. I was honestly lost along the way. I couldn't get to the beacon where I labeled it chest. I was distracted by so many things. I eventually stumbled upon a rocket that crashed. There wasn't really anything interesting around the rocket, but wow, a giant rocket. Alright, cool. Approaching the rocket though, it seems it was a chest containing a bunch of goodies, so this was also rewarding. Anyways, with my inventory full with all the stuff I have gained so far in this adventure, it was now time to head home to our home base. But I saw a weird looking rock and thought that maybe I can explode this with my explosive device. So I tried it out and boom, nothing happened. Cool. Anyways, upon reaching home, I now had this thing called the atmospheric water collection. Now we don't need to get ice to convert it to water bottles. We can just wait for this thing to collect water from the environment. Yay, to unlimited water supply. Let's go. And with more materials on hand, I made more tier 3 vegetubes for more oxygen towards the planet. And while minding my own business, another major event happened again. I was pretty excited to see what they would drop this time. I was hoping for uranium or iridium, because as with uranium, we can increase the amount of nuclear we have. But it seems it was aluminum, and well, that's fine because I needed aluminum anyways. I then did a bunch of gear updates like a tier 2 agility boots. Now it increases 30% of my movement speed, and made a biolab. This gives like a lot of oxygen, as well as we now have a window to see what we can unlock on the biomass screen. You can see we have another stats, and it's called biomass. This thing does is it monitors the plants, the insects, and animals. But the insects and animals will come later on. For now, we just focus on the plants. I then dismantled most of my heaters because I will be converting all the iridium on this to iridium rods and make them into tier 3 heaters. These things produce a crazy amount of heat of 28 compared to tier 1 that only produces like 0.3. I also did the same to my drills. I deconstructed my tier 2 drills and made a lot of tier 3 drills. This was very worth it because the amount of pressure that this tier 3 one makes is incomparable to the ones that the tier 2 ones made. So yeah, always upgrade your stuff, folks. I then upgraded my rooftop to have something like glass so I can see what's below me. It looks really nice. I like the glass in this game. I like how it's see-through. So this is my base so far. So you can see I also removed my windmills as they only produce like 1 energy, I believe. Just look at the amount of tier 3 vegetubes I have down there with the grass spreader as well. I actually made more because, you know, I have so many plants on my storages right now. I'll just look at that number. Let's go. Could be better though, but yeah, that works. And checking my progress, we're already at 87% towards liquid water. So now we can see some water soon. And just look at how the environment has changed so far. We have a blue sky, we have some clouds, and everything just looks like it's nicer. And I think some of the ice melted already. Also, finally, I found my way towards the beacon that I left for the chest. So now we have grabbed everything that the chest had. Also, I nabbed a bunch of uraninite and some uranium before I went home. As I was a very curious person, I decided to climb the snow mountain. And I was very amazed at what I found up here. As I reached somewhat the top of what I was climbing, I found a lot of osmium just below this place. Like, oh my god. You know what this means? We can now make the ore extractors. Clap, clap, clap. There were also a bunch of super alloys here. So this place was a treasure trove for osmium and super alloy, and I was glad that I found this place. I of course left a beacon here because it might serve as a great place to farm osmium with our ore extractor. Not really sure, but yeah, just to make sure, I left a beacon. And then found another one of those egg-looking statue thingy. So yeah, I'll leave a beacon here as well so I can find this again once we know its purpose. I of course returned home with a smile on my face because now we can make the ore extractors. And with more Lerma seeds on hand, I made a bunch more grass spreader. Also, more of the nuclear power plant, so we're running out of energy. The other thing was I upgraded my ore crusher to tier 3. And with the tier 3, we can now see like... So, you know those statue things? I think this is it. And we can harvest like crystals from it, like quartz, pulsar, blazar, forgot the other names. But yeah, those other crystals, the colorful crystals. I then upgraded my jetpack to tier 2. We can now fly more, I guess. We have like 170 propulsion. I then made a singular flower pot. I just wanted to try if it's good. But as you can see, well, it's okay, I guess. I don't think the multiplier for the plant would work on it, so I'll just place like a very small multiplier plant inside it. Anyways, now that I had osmium, I headed towards the volcanic area where we found some bauxites and also iridiums. Totally forgot to bring dynamites again. Now I can't open these things. So my purpose here was to gather more iridium and bauxite, as well as see if the ore extractor could extract either bauxite or iridium. After a couple of experiments, it seems I don't or I'm not capable of extracting anything aside from iron in this area. So we probably need a higher tiered ore extractor, so we can't really do anything here. I went even deeper though and see if it might be possible to get the bauxite or iridium, but it's still iron. So I gave up. Eventually reach, I think, the deepest level of the volcano area, because there are a lot of iridiums here, a lot of lava. So it's best that I'm careful here. I'll probably die from falling or something. Then found another one of those egg-looking things, so I just left a beacon as usual. I think I explored very far already from my base because I found some obsidians along the way. And I'm happy to encounter this. So now I can also mark this spot as a potential obsidian ore farm. And exploring some more, I found a random abandoned ship. And similar to the other ship, I really can't enter because I don't have a tier 2 deconstruction chip yet. So yeah, I'll just leave a beacon here as well. On my way home, I found these rocks that I also saw at the volcanic area, but this time it's green. So I assume the one on the volcanic area is iridium, while these things are uranium. Just basing it on the color, but for now I don't have explosives, so I'll put a beacon as well and label it as green balls. I also saw some white balls along the way, so I'm not sure what white is for, maybe aluminum? Since I couldn't place any ore extractor at the volcano, I just decided to place it on my base, and to my surprise, it was mining bauxite. Tried the mushroom area and it was dolomite. So of course I'm gonna go for the bauxite because it's gonna give us some aluminum. I don't really need cobalt anymore, so bauxite was a better choice. So great, with these ore extractors, it has solved an issue for us for aluminum. We will now have an unlimited supply of aluminum. I then crafted a vehicle station, so we can actually make vehicles in this game now. I was very excited to try how good a car was in this game. So we can make a rover, and I believe I have enough materials to make one. And so I made myself 2 rocket engines. I was only lacking like 1 more uranium, and I'm not sure where I can find one. I can either go to the snow mountain or check my boxes if I had any uranium. And luckily I had. After waiting for a while, my uranite got converted to uranium, and now we have the rover. There are a bunch of chips that I can make in order to put like upgrades on this rover. For now, I only managed to make this thing called a equipment increase chip. There was a speed increase chip, but I don't have any zoolite right now. And there's also an unlimited oxygen chip. I was gunning for that, but yeah, I have no zoolite. Anyhow, trying out the rover, it feels pretty nice actually to drive something in this game, but the speed was kind of slow, and it keeps getting blocked by obstacles along the way. So I'm not entirely sure if this was worth the trouble. So maybe I will try riding my rover once I have like a speed upgrade or something, and the unlimited oxygen, because unlimited oxygen will be very useful. I then suddenly got a notification that I unlocked a tier 2 nuclear reactor. And holy, 331 energy? That's a lot. Anyways, for now, I decided to craft myself a biomass lab, or biolab, I think that's what it's called. For this biolab, we can now make fertilizer, bacteria sample, explosive powders, and other goodies we couldn't before. Since my biolab was actually floating from the ground, I decided to place some platforms on it. So we have an illusion that it's actually standing on platforms instead of it floating from the ground. Nice, right? It looks better with platforms than a floating giant square. Now, checking the progress, we're at the liquid water stage, and we're gonna enter the lake stage soon in about 89%. I then grabbed my rover and made my way towards the sulfur area. I wanted to gather a bunch of sulfur to make some explosive powders. It's pretty fun to ride the rover, but like I said, I think it's more efficient for me to just run around with my jetpack. Although it was a fun experience driving this thing. But maybe once we have the speed upgrade, it's gonna be fun. I then went back for the green balls. So now I brought my explosives with me. So like I said, I was very curious, so we can now satiate our curiosity. So after exploding the green balls, I was correct. It did contain some uranium, but it also contains some uraninite. So that's good. Crush this for both iridium, uranium, and a super alloy. My god, these words. I also exploded some white balls and they contained the super alloy. I thought it would be titanium, but it's actually super alloy, and I was very happy to get like a super alloy rod. So that was a pretty rare find and I was very happy with the result. So I exploded a bunch more and got more super alloy rods. Okay, so I'm actually enjoying my time driving the rover around. If only it had bigger wheels, so like obstructions like rocks wouldn't be a problem. I then made myself something called a map interface, but I don't have a satellite in space yet, so I can't really benefit from this yet. So I now need to make a launch platform so I can launch a satellite rocket so we have information on the map. So I made the platform just near my base so I don't have a hard time going to the platform and out of the platform. But yeah, I ran out of energy again, so it's time to craft even more nuclear reactors. This time, I'll be making the tier 2 nuclear reactors. These things provide even more energy. So I plan to dismantle the tier 1s to get the uranium rods that was required to make this, and instead make like a lot of tier 2 nuclear reactors. Also made a bunch of food growers as I will be needing more eggplants in the future, as well as mushroom for bioplastic. I then went back to the snow biome where we got some uranium and uraninite, and I wanted to see if I can get uraninite out of this, but I can only mine iron, so I was disappointed. So we gotta wait for like a tier 2 ore miner, I guess. So instead, I continued exploring the snow mountain until I eventually saw a giant ship from a distance, and also those giant rocks behind it. So I was very curious at this spot, so I will approach it and see what I can get from here. Approaching the ship, there are a lot of solar panels that I can deconstruct for some lovely cobalt, silicon, magnesium, and iron. Also, I was very happy to find out that I can explore this ship. It was open, unlike the other 2 ships we've encountered so far. There were a bunch of chests here containing nice goodies like the multiplier fuses. These things are really good and helpful. I made sure to explore every nook and cranny of the ship. My trick for exploring labyrinth-like places or ships like this is to hug a wall either right or left, because eventually you will circle around the entire place. There was this giant thing called a nuclear reactor, but I didn't have the items to power it. My bad, it was called an open fusion reactor. So once I can make the battery for this thing, we can come back here again. For the first part of the exploration, I actually looted a bunch of goodies, about 3 oxygen multiplier. Honestly, very happy with the loot. So I continued exploring the place to see if I missed something. Well, so far this is everything that I found in the ship. It was a really good find. I had a lot of stuff I gained from here. I still wasn't done with my exploration, so I checked out the stony looking area. The rocks look like they're like giant obsidians or something, and I also found another one of those egg-like stone statue thingy. So of course, another beacon. So upon approaching the rocky place, there were a lot of osmium here, and there was also a structure at a distance right there. So I'm very excited to explore this place and loot most of the osmium here. But right now, my inventory was full and I did not really want to gather more loot at the moment since I can. But I did check out the insides of the dome-like place, and there were a bunch of chips that, yeah, increased the amount of blueprints that we have. So this was a nice find. I continued exploring the place and found a bunch of chests, but yeah, my inventory was full. I really should just go home and then come back here again so I can loot a bunch of goodies that they can provide. I made sure to try the ore extractor, and I can only get iron. So what that means is my ore extractor is a lower level, so I can't really get anything out of the ore extractor. One of the things I got from the ship was a new spacesuit. So look at this thing. Looks pretty nice, but I still like the black and the white version. The original is orange, if you didn't know, but yeah, I like this one, so I'm gonna be using this one. I then decided to launch some rockets in outer space. So what rockets does is it can attract asteroids. Like for this thing, it will increase the amount of, I believe, pressure multiplier I have for terraformation by 1,000. as well as attract an asteroid that would rain iridium on me, I believe. Or was it uranium? Well, anyways, the rockets are really useful. They boost your terraformation index so fast. Another one of the rockets is this thing called the magnetic field protection rocket. And this one for sure will like attract uranium asteroid, as well as increase my multiplier for pressure by 1,000. The other one earlier was heat. So I'll be spamming the heck out of these missiles. They're gonna be very useful to get uranium and iridium at the moment, since we don't have a uranite or farm yet. I also launched a map information rocket to the outer space. Also a GPS satellite. So with these two, we can now look at the information on our map screen, so it can show us the entire graphics or the entire map of the place. I made sure to loot all the uranium that the asteroids were dropping from the sky, because I need more nuclear reactors to power the future stations that I'm gonna make. Anyways, I returned to my base and took a look at the map. So with this, I can see what kind of ores are available in specific maps. So I was right about the Osmium farm. So everything you see right now is the entirety of the Humble DLC map, I believe. I only have a tier 1 GPS satellite, so I can't really zoom out as much as I want to. But I have an idea of what the map looks like now. So it seems like I almost explored everything in the area. Almost. Because I can remember the structure of these from where I've been to before. Also in the map, it showed me a first appearance of water. So I approached the water area and look, we now had water. And with this, I can place down an algae generator. Or is it algae? I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Algae. So yeah, we need the algae to make bacteria samples or fertilizers. So I'm still hoping that this water will, produce more water or increase in size. But as long as it doesn't cover my base, I'm happy that it can keep increasing in size and amount, because our machines won't be working if it's submerged in water. I'm honestly kind of scared that water will submerge this place, because I don't want to relocate my base, man. That's so much work. Anyways, I checked back my algae generator after a while, and it's slowly producing the algae, but it will need to wait some time. Every time I had the opportunity to craft and launch a rocket, I do so. Specifically choose the one that would drop me some iridium asteroids, so I can keep making some rockets. So it's unlimited supply cycle of iridium. All I need to do is work hard to keep doing this. The only annoying part is the debris that comes along with the ores, but eventually they will despawn and I'm able to loot the ores. Alright, so progress update. We're now at 47% towards the lake stage. So yeah, it makes me scared to think that this will be submerged in water, but I doubt it. And as you can see, the amount of water so far, it's expanding, and our algae is not yet ready. What the heck? Oh, some are ready. So now we can start making some fertilizer. So to make fertilizer, we'll need 3 algae, 2 eggplants, and 1 sulfur. So I need to make more algae generators. So we'll need to wait for more water to be produced by the planet. Then we can, mass produce our generators. And with our recently made fertilizer, we can now make something called the flower spreader. These things provide plants and oxygen, and we can also insert some of our flowers to increase the effectiveness of it. So just look at the amount of oxygen this thing produces. Let's go. I'll be needing more and more fertilizer so I can make more of these and transfer most of my flowers to the spreaders instead of the veggie tubes. So I made more algae generators. And then made a bunch of tier 3 drills. Just look at the amount of drills I have. So for sure, my atmospheric pressure is going better and better. I launch even more rockets for iridiums and also the multipliers. Explore the planet some more. I keep seeing water everywhere, so this puts a smile on my face. Looking at the map again, I noticed that there was a super alloy in the area where we thought that it would be just death down here. But maybe there's something down here. I assume we're gonna discover new things once we up our terraformation index some more. But for now, I guess we can't really do anything. Anyhow, my main goal right now was to get some zeolite. So looking at my map, I have discovered the area where zeolite would be found. It's here. The one with the rocket that we saw that was stuck on the ground. Also, I crafted a new microchip called map. So now I can open the map anytime. I don't need to be at my base to open my map. So this is gonna be very handy in going to like specific spots of the game. And for the stage update, we're currently at the lake stage and we're gonna be at the moss stage pretty soon. For now, I went to the snow mountain and see if a bunch of the ice has melted. There were some, but not really that noticeable. So I started gathering some urananites and got a bunch of chests. I then checked the area where zeolites were supposed to be found, but there's nothing here. So I assume I need to wait for a better terraformation index. Or maybe it's underground and I don't have access to it yet. And then collected a bunch of sulfur as I was needing some sulfur. I really should think about making an ore extractor here. Even at tier 1 could mine some sulfur for me, so we have a passive thing that gives us sulfur and it would be an unlimited amount. Anyways, once I had enough fertilizer, I made myself the tier 2 biodome. And with this thing, we can now produce some tree bark. But we need to wait for this dome to produce tree bark. Tree bark is used for a lot of stuff, specifically making trees or making a rocket with a tree to spread trees around the world. By that, I meant a plant rocket that would increase our plant multiplier. I then crafted this thing called a machine optimizer, and with this I have inserted my oxygen fuse with it, and now it will increase the surrounding structure with 500% oxygen production. But there's a limit to this optimizer. It can only optimize 5 machines at a time. Now my daily agenda includes just shooting up rockets in outer space to increase our heat and pressure multiplier. This is what the plant rocket looks like. So it's a rocket with a giant plant inside and it will spread around the world, increasing the multiplier for our plant. It looks pretty cool, right? Because there's like a plant on the rocket. It would have been nicer if this was day. Anyways, I continued making structures that would help increase the amount of plants and oxygen in the planet. I really just wanted to unlock the new stuff so we can increase further our plants, the insects, and then animals. Also, I have unlocked the blueprint for a tier 4 drill. And look at how huge this thing is. And holy, the amount of pressure it gives is a lot. And after a while, we eventually reached the moss stage, and the next stage would be the flora stage. So I assume flowers and grass will be growing around the world soon. And this will further increase by the help of all the rockets we've been launching to space so far. Remember the caves where we found the green balls and the white balls? I decided to take a peek at that place to see if anything changed since our terraformation index has improved. So a lot of the ice has already melted and I can see a bunch of new stuff, or maybe my memory is just so bad that I can't remember that I've already been to this place. But yeah, if you notice, the surrounding is mostly covered in green now. So yeah, like I said, we're at the moss stage going to the flora stage. So it really looks appealing to the eyes that there's blue and green and there's colors everywhere. It's not a wasteland anymore. And looky, there's grass on the ground. Amazing. Also, I now have a tier 2 deconstruction chip. So I'm able to go to the ship that we previously couldn't before. So now it's time to see if we can get anything rare out of this. There are a lot of these computer looking things that we can get circuit board from deconstructing it. So every time I see one, I of course deconstruct them because circuit boards are pretty expensive to make. And just look at what items the chest inside the ship contains. There's a lot of like multiplier tubes like oxygen and heat. These will surely benefit our next machines that we're gonna make, and we'll be optimizing it with our optimizer. I then found this place that were full of androids. I was hoping that these were drills so I can deconstruct them, but yeah, they were androids. And the best part about them is they are storage crates, meaning they will hold some valuable items for the taking. So I of course checked every single one of them and grabbed whatever I could, leaving behind some unimportant items. Upon returning home, I made myself a tier 4 heater. I recently unlocked this recipe, and holy, this thing also provides a lot of heat. So I'm pretty excited to make an optimizer here and add the heat multiplier tube. So remember the area which had zoolite in it? As you can see, the rocks has been uprooted or was lifted up by tree roots. So now I can get some zoolite maybe? I'm not really sure how. So I checked the surrounding and the caves inside where the roots are uprooting the stuff. And as you can see here, there's like a tunnel down here. And there were both the osmium and finally the zoolite we've been looking for. Let's go! Zeolite. I mean, I'm calling it zoolite. Zeolite. So by collecting a lot of zeolites, we can finally upgrade our gears and also make that speed chip for our rover. So maybe our rover will be much better to drive with now. And so I of course gathered all the zeolite and osmium I can see in my vicinity. And while exploring the cave some more, I found the Erd tree. I'm kidding. I found a giant yellow tree. Not really sure what this thing is, but it looks really cool. I'm very amazed at what I'm seeing right now. It looks like the Erd tree from Elden Ring, if you guys play that game. So yeah, this looks really awesome. It's like very shiny. And so upon arriving home, I made a bunch of upgrades to my rover, like the unlimited oxygen, the speed upgrade, storage upgrade, and you just name it, a lot of upgrades. Okay, so moment of truth, look at the speed of my rover. It's so fast. I'm so happy with this. We have one remaining problem though. We need bigger wheels because these dang pebbles or rocks are stopping us from going at our full speed. I then added an optimizer to my tier 4 drills. So these things will now get a boost of 500% in pressure. And oh my god, it's like you have 5 pieces of this, I guess, if you think about it. But well, 5 machine increased by 500%, meaning it's like we have 25 tier 4 drills, but we only have 5. If that makes sense. Just look at the percent going so fast. I'm so happy with all the upgrades we had recently. I then crafted this thing that will show us how many rockets we have sent to space. So currently 5 of each, the plant, the magnetic field protection rocket, and the asteroid rocket. So we have 5,000% multiplier in heat, pressure, and plants. Not really sure if there's something that would increase the percent of oxygen received, but well, anyways, we'll just keep waiting for new things to be unlocked and we'll make them. And the happy moment finally arrived when we unlocked the blueprint for a tier 2 ore extractor. Really, with this thing, we can now extract Uranium, so we can have an unlimited farm of iridium, uranium, and super alloy, as well as osmium and zoolites, I believe. We'll find out soon. I'll go there and put the extractors. I also made this thing which increases the amount of oxygen we have by surrounding a optimizer with flower spreaders and then putting like the oxygen multiplier in it. And now we can or should have a lot of oxygen produced in the planet with this as well. And checking on the stage, we're currently at the flora, so we're about 12% towards the tree stage. Let's go. And had a new blueprint called the tree spreader. So finally, we have something that can slowly give trees to our world. This thing gives a lot of oxygen plus a lot of plants to this planet. I had about 2 tree seeds that I got from random boxes, so I made only 2 for now. But I can make more from a... forgot what it's called, but I think it's called a DNA or gene manipulator. Anyhow, I ventured towards where the uraninite was so I can start putting my ore extractors. Also, since we've reached this terraformation index, there's been lots of giant roots that I can climb on so I can instantly go up mountains. That's very helpful. And as you can see, most of the ice has already melted and we can now see that this place looks like paradise, I guess. And look at this. Look how pretty all the osmiums are up there. Amazing. So if you remember, these were the osmiums that were trapped in ice before, and now that the ice is melted, we can now extract them. I then crafted 2 of my ore extractors and check to see if they are extracting uraninite, and they are. So I was very happy. Let's go. We have unlimited supply of both iridium, uranium, and also super alloy. So I continued exploring the cave, and just look at what happened to the area with the giant golden tree. There are now a bunch of new stuff that we haven't seen earlier. So it's really nice to see all these new transformations happening. I really appreciate looking at all these things. I then found another abandoned dome, so I started disassembling a lot of things. Also, I grabbed all the blue chips that the machines can provide and deconstructed all the computer thingies for the circuit boards. Guys, look. Look. Finally, the planet has trees now. You see those trees? Well, I mean, we did see a giant tree, but what am I being happy for? But anyways, you can see here at the sulfur area, there's a bunch of these weird looking plants. Like the constant change that the terraformation is doing to the planet. It makes my curiosity peak, you know, like, wow, like new stuff, new things to look. And oh my god, as I was on my way to my base, I noticed there were a bunch of trees already. Crazy. It's like a paradise here now. Now, looking at my progress, we're already at the tree stage and 4% towards the insect stage. We also unlock a new blueprint for a beehive, but we don't have any bee larvae, so we can't make this thing. Currently, I'm just continuing sending some rockets to outer space to further increase our multiplier in all our stats like pressure, heat, plant. Also, we can make trees by mutating them in a DNA manipulator. Using this machine, we can make some trees. And with this, we can make more tree spreader and spread trees around the world. And so from a high angle, this is what my base currently looks like. Looks nice, right? I like it. I then made a bunch more tree spreader now that we have crafted 2 new trees. Totally forgot to mention, but I had this new structure in my base called a gas extractor. And what this does, it gives me methane cartridges. I then crafted something called a shredding machine because I had too much of these methane cartridges and I don't really need them. So what this machine does is it permanently removes an item from the game by pressing one button. There you go, it's all gone. I then crafted this thing called an air filter, and what it does is it lowers the consumption of oxygen. That means we can last longer on the field without running out of oxygen. I then crafted this thing called the DNA manipulator, and what I can do with this is I can make bee larvae, butterflies, and fish eggs, I believe, or frog eggs. But like I said, I don't really have any bugs right now, and I don't have any idea where I can find bugs in the world. For now, I went to my uraninite farm in order to see how much uraninite have I gotten so far. And as you can see, these ore extractors are amazing. I've been collecting so much uraninite. I already have like 21 on this one. And for the other extractor, we have about 23. So because our ore crusher is tier 3, we'll be getting the 3 ores, super alloy, iridium, and uranium. So we basically got 43 of each from all these uraninite. Also, I then went to the egg thingy to check if we can get this now, but it seems not yet. It's still stone. Stage check. We're at 76% on trees, almost at insects. I then continued making more heaters now that I had iridium rods. Also made sure not to forget about the optimizer so we can optimize the amount of heat this thing will produce. Optimizer is one of the best items in the game, I swear to god. Just look at the amount of heat I can produce with this. I really don't understand the numbers, but it's 2.69 NK. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm guessing a lot. 500% of what the tier 4, the tier 4 can do. Upon checking my stage, I'm already at the insect stage, and the next stage would be breathable atmosphere. That means we don't need to worry about oxygen anymore once we enter that stage. I then crafted myself something called a butterfly dome. I don't really have any butterfly right now, but yeah, it's always nice to look at new things in our base. I made sure to place foundations underneath so we have the illusion that it's not floating. So yeah, this thing looks pretty nice. Alright, cool. We now have a butterfly dome without butterflies. Next, I searched the entire area and looked for worms so I can start making bees and butterflies. But As much as I tried, I just couldn't find bugs. Like, where are they? So I took my rover out for a journey in order to locate some bugs. Maybe we'll find some eventually. And here's a thought, maybe they spawn in places with trees. So I tried going up here, look around the surroundings, but yeah, I never really got any bugs here as well. There were a bunch of chests though with really good goodies inside, so this was a pretty good find. I also looked at the golden tree area, but I couldn't find any bugs as well. So where the heck are these bugs? While exploring around, I found this ladder out of nowhere, and it seems it was like an abandoned ship with a lot of drones as well. So yeah, we found a lot of treasure trove on the way home. Not sure if I showed you the desert scene of this place, but anyways, look at this place now. It's slowly turning into paradise as well. After arriving home, a giant asteroid then decided to, crash land near our base. I was pretty hopeful with this one because it's moving very slow and it looks really big. So just assuming, since it's colored pink, I just assume this is like a pulsar crystal. And upon crashing, I approach it. Crossing my fingers, I was right. It was pulsar quartz. Let's go. These things are really valuable because they make the next station, which provides so much energy. So these things are needed to craft like teleporters, so we can set up a teleporter to our Uranium and our base. So this thing is a small nuclear reactor, but it has like 1.4k energy. So high compared to the tier 2 nuclear reactor. I think the tier 2 reactor only gives like 300 energy. And unlock the recipe for trade space rocket. So this basically serves as the merchant in the game where we can purchase a bunch of goodies. We can also sell some of our goodies to gain money. So I of course crafted it and placed it just besides my launch platform. So with this thing, we can now buy a bunch of random goods like cocoa seed, wheat seed, the multiplier fuse, some fish eggs, butterflies, the frog eggs, recipes. But as you can see, I'm very poor. I have like 0 currency right now. And since I have a lot of oxygen multiplier fuse, I decided to trade them in for some currency. By selling like 5 pieces of the oxygen multiplier fuses, I'll get about, I believe, 12.5k. I can't really purchase anything right now, not until the ship comes back. But I plan on buying a energy multiplier fuse. Alright, so I then sent the rocket away so we can get back our money from the oxygen fuses. So it takes about 10 minutes for it to return. Anyways, I continued my day sending rockets to space to increase more of our multipliers. Next, I dismantled a bunch of my tree spreader as I have learned a tier 2 tree spreader. And we don't need to place this on water anymore. We can just find a suitable land to place like multiple of them and have like an optimizer increase the amount of oxygen they produce. So that's what I did. The amount of oxygen that these things produce are crazy. Like, oh my god. Especially with the boost from the tree seeds and also the fuse. And since 10 minutes has passed, the rocket has came back. But, well, for some reason it did that. So cool. Okay. Thought I would like trip over or something. Anyways, now that we have money, I made sure to buy myself a energy multiplier fuse and the production multiplier fuse. Continued launching more rockets to space because I really needed the lovely multipliers. And just look at the multipliers I have right now. So yeah, I need more heat, need more oxygen, and need more plants, of course. I want to have everything at above 10,000%. I continued adding more tier 4 drills as well as putting an optimizer here so we can get more out of it. Also, I finally unlocked the teleporter. So now our way of travel just got better. We can easily go to our Uranite ore farm and other places that we need to go to. I made one for the base, of course, and I'm still capable of making like 2 more. So we can have one as our pocket teleporter where we can just go home anytime when our inventory is full. And another one will be placed to the Uranite farm. As you can see on my blueprint tab, I already unlocked all that can be unlocked with heat. So next is oxygen, then there's pressure, and the remaining would be the terraformation. For the stage, we're at like 79%, all very close to a breathable atmosphere. There's still a bunch of recipes that I need to unlock on the biomass table though. After a while of chilling at base, I finally reached the breathable atmosphere. As you can see, there's an infinity sign on the lower left on our oxygen bar. So that means we don't really need to care about our oxygen that much because it's a breathable atmosphere now. So the next stage we're gonna enter would be the fish stage. And because I've unlocked the tier 3 tree spreader, I changed most of my tier 2 into the tier 3 one. Still surrounded by one singular optimizer. And explored towards the ice caves in hopes that I can find some bugs here. But yeah, no matter how hard I try, where are the dang bugs? I eventually went to my Uranium farm because there was these egg thingies here. There still wasn't any change, so I don't think I can do anything here yet. But as I look around the surroundings, there it was. I saw it. A bug. So bugs spawn here. Like, okay, cool. Now we have a source of bugs. So I just kept circling around the surroundings where the stone thingy was. And bugs just kept spawning around here. Which made me very happy because now we can farm a lot of these bugs, turn them into either bee, butterfly, and we can start farming for some insect numbers. So using my DNA manipulator, it was time to make some bee larvae, also butterflies. So once research has started, it usually takes a while, but not that long before a bug is made using the DNA manipulator. So I made myself a bee and crafted myself a beehive. Now I can produce some honey with this thing. So this beehive provides some insect numbers for the planet, so that's pretty good as well. I then crafted an ore extractor at the sulfur area. So now we can have an unlimited supply of sulfur. As I went home, my tree spreader are working wonders. It made a forest in this area and I kind of regret placing it here. So hopefully the trees don't spread towards my base or else I'm gonna have a hard time navigating through my base. I then started crafting myself some butterflies so my butterfly dome won't be empty, as well as I plan to make other butterfly stations so that we can increase the amount of insect we have on this world. Now look, we now have butterflies. Let's go. The process of like crafting these butterflies are tedious, I swear, but I have no choice. I'm just happy that the insect numbers are going up now. So that's a win. I crafted another butterfly just to complete the dome. We now have the green and pink butterflies. Ain't they pretty? I then made another dome. I wanted to have even more butterflies because there's just so many blueprints to unlock on the insect tab that I want to enhance this. I then built another beehive because I have no idea what to build right now. There's just a limited amount of things I can do to increase my insect numbers, so I guess anything works. Crafted even more heaters, just basically improving my terraformation index. So I finally decided to properly organize my stuff. Now I had a locker for each material that I have. Not really expensive to make, so I should have done this from the start. Then inserted the new sets of butterfly I recently crafted to the new dome. Okay, things are looking good so far. But looking at the unlockable blueprints though, I'm so far from progressing fast in this insect stage. It's honestly gonna take a while to increase our biomass. And looking at my progress so far, we're currently at the fish stage already. And we're going to the amphibian stage in about 99.40%. But we have a long way to go because our biomass is really moving so slow. Anyways, I wanted to go back to my Uranium farm so I can put a teleporter there. But I noticed that there was a beach under me. So this wasn't here before when it was just filled with dust that it looks like death underneath. So now there was actually ocean. Wow. So there was actually still a lot of stuff to explore now that we have progressed a lot in the world. So it's time to explore this new area, of course. So just underneath the starting zone, there were a lot of chests down here and a lot of androids. It was honestly fun to see all the different things I can find out about this planet. I mean, just look at this underground place. It looks like a giant mushroom now if you think about it. I eventually reached an environment where it was blue and there were osmium, so I think I'm heading towards the snow cave area. One amazing thing that I found out was, you remember those egg-looking statue? I can now see what they are. Those things were cosmic quartz. And if you remember the tier 3 ore crusher, it had a display that these things will give us the 5 different types of crystals. So wow, amazing. The markings, I've been doing the question mark beacons as you see in front of me. I need to go back there and harvest all those quartz. These quartz are a very powerful tool to upgrade our gears and also make really good stuff with it, like the teleporter and stuff. As I headed out, I was amazed to see what happened to the Zoolite area. It's like the tree has like brought the giant rocket way above ground. I guess we have made so much progress that the tree started growing really big. One by one, if I had a chance and if I was close, I would pick up a bunch of the cosmic quartz. I also dismantled a bunch of these computer thingies on the ships that I couldn't before. Made sure to look at every nook and cranny that the ship had so I can deconstruct everything because of the free circuit board we can get from here. Afterwards, I went to the area where there were a lot of osmolite, but as you can see here, the black crystals has turned into a beautiful blue now. It looks really pretty. I like it here. And they actually glow, so that makes it prettier. I explored the place a bit and grabbed a bunch of items I can find from random chests all over the place. So found a bunch of cosmic quartz at the area and then explored this part of the map. I was very curious here because there were a lot of trees, as you can see. Aside from the trees, I didn't really find anything interesting here. There were a couple of chests though that contained really good stuff, so it's worth the trip. On the wasteland turned paradise looking giant crater thing, I found a cave with a pink light. So I'm assuming this is finally the pulsar quartz cave that I've been looking for so far. Need a lot of pulsar quartz for more teleporters as well as more nuclear reactors. So I was very happy to find this cave. It wasn't much though, but I believe I only got about 7 pieces of pulsar quartz here. Still, it was enough to make like another teleporter. Explored the entire area of this place. I wanted to find even more caves, but yeah, that was the only cave I found. I want more quartz. I don't know how to make more at the moment, but yeah, I want more pulsar quartz. And it seems the planet heard me because I got a blueprint for pulsar quartz after a while. And then process a bunch of my cosmic quartz on my tier 3 crusher. And so far it has yielded me a good amount of quartz, random colored quartz. I was hoping that it would give me the 5 different type of quartz at the same time, like in equal amount, but it seems it's random. Checking out the terraformation stage right now, we're 22% towards amphibian. We're going pretty slow, but I guess I'll just need to make even more machines and stations that would increase our biomass. I then crafted a bunch of silkworms. I needed 3 in order to make a silk generator. And the silk generator is going to be useful to make a bunch of stuff like a water life collector so we can collect planktons in the water. Also, finally, I was able to make myself a drone station now. So drones are really good in the game because what they do is they can handle stuff like transferring items from one chest to another. That means we can automate the Uranium farm for the drones to, transfer all my items directly to my crushers and the other stuff to my lockers. I made about 10 drones for now, but I don't think it's enough. I would want like even more drones in the future. Just look at my drones go, and for some reason I can see them exploring the starting area. So the starting area is like a mushroom forest. Now that we've reached this terraformed stage. So these mushroom forests sometimes make mushrooms. So I'm assuming all my drones are picking up random mushrooms all over the place. So I checked my food locker and I was right. They were picking up mushrooms. I have more and more mushrooms now. Also, they automatically pick up all the food that has grown from my food grower. So that's awesome. I then set up all my lockers to demand a certain items. So what this does is the drones will basically store the items I demand on these lockers. And if I supply something, the drones will pick items from these lockers. So it's just demand and supply settings. Also, I went to my biolab to check how to make a pulsar quartz, and it's very easy. Just osmium, zoolite, iridium, uranium, and methane cartridges. You can just make an ore extractor at osmium and zeolite spots, and we already have our uraninite, so we can make unlimited pulsar. Remember when I talked about these rocks being obsidian? So I placed down a tier 3 ore extractor and checked out if I can mine an obsidian here. And it seems I could. So now we have an obsidian farm as well. I also made sure to have a teleporter here so I can mark this as an obsidian farm and I come here anytime I want. And then continued to explore the volcanic area. Just wanted to see if I can find something rare here or some chest that I haven't been able to get yet. Inside the volcano, I found a waterfall. Like, what? Okay. Also found some lava submerged in water. Doesn't it usually turn into like, you know, obsidian when you put the water on lava, or it's just a Minecraft logic? Or even just turn to stone or something, because, you know, water and lava, can they even coincide? I'm not sure. Well, anyways, this place was really cool. And for some reason, there are also live plants here. So yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe they're heat resistant plants or something. And so I arrived at the cave with some beautiful osmium on top, if you remember it. Anyways, we're gonna set this up as our osmium farm. So I made sure to make a teleporter here as well, but I ran out of both obsidian and osmium, so I have to come back here. I also set up my zeolite farm just above the cave. And yeah, I'm able to extract some zeolite here, so that's good. I then went back to the places. I added some ore extractors, added some more, but because I think one wasn't enough, and added the teleporters I wanted to add. After coming home, I then made a bunch more drones. I want like at least 30 to operate my base or my planet. Also, I continued making silkworms. I only made one so far. So just 2 more and I should be able to craft myself the silk generator. And I swear, the autocrafter is one of the best things that I've encountered so far, because with this, I can just craft anything on the go without picking up all the items that is needed to craft them. This machine will automatically pull all the items needed in order to craft an item. I then continued to launch some rockets to space to enhance our terraformation some more. I just spammed the heck out of these rockets, spawning one by one after one rocket launches to the air. I have no worries of running out of iridium because I have my uraninite farms. I already have all the materials I need. I just need to wait for time for the extractors to get the materials if ever I run out. So all that's left to do really is just to spawn more rockets, make more stations, make more machine, just expand the place and increase our terraformation index. And as usual though, we have a problem of the biomass. We don't really have that much structures yet. And I hate how in order to make some insects like bees, butterflies, we need to do it manually. So biomass needs more attention than the other stations. Finally, I now had enough materials to craft myself the silk generator. So this thing will produce a lot of silk for us, which we will use to make the water collector. Also have this recipe called the portal generator. So with this, we can go to other dimensions and like loot a lot of new items. I then continued to gather a bunch of insects because I needed more bees, silkworms, and also butterflies. The butterflies can only be made using rare larvae, so that's gonna be a hard time to find it because it's, you know, rare. Still, I can just like circulate this area and bugs will keep respawning. I found another worm spot here just underneath the starting base, the cave underneath. So yeah, worms actually spawns here as well. So now we have a source of worms as well. Back in the previous world, sometimes a rare butterfly spawns, but for this one, it's just the common, uncommon, and like the rare larvas. Or well, I haven't encountered any rare butterflies. After farming a bunch of worms, I then started crafting myself a bunch of butterfly farms. Also mass produce a bunch of butterflies. So we're slowly spreading the amount of insects around the world. And looking at my current stage right now, we're at like 93% towards amphibian stage. And I went back to the ship with the fusion reactor and inserted 2 fusion energy cells. So once this gets loaded up, the doors that has been closed will now open. So looking inside, there are a bunch of chests that are ready to be grabbed. There was also a huge vault here containing a lot of money and some multiplier fuse. And yeah, that was all. I was hoping for more, but yeah, it's good enough that we get like 5,000 or more Terra tokens plus a multiplier fuse that's worth around 5k, I believe. Going back to the giant yellow tree, I can see that there are frogs here that have spawned already, so I guess we're at the amphibian stage already. I grab a couple of frog eggs from all these ponds that I see down here. We'll be using them to spread a lot of frogs in the world soon. Further increase the amount of tree spreader I had since I had more tree seeds now. I sometimes think that it's a mistake gathering all these tree spreader in one area because, you know, look at the forest. But I'm just thankful that it didn't spread towards my base. Also, now that I had money, I bought 2 energy multiplier fuse. I needed this to craft like the portal so we can start adventuring to other dimensions where we can get a lot of good loots. Then crafted 2 amphibian farms as I had 2 eggs right now. So now we have something that will produce animals for the world. Basically the frogs. I also started looking up on how to make even more trees. So I will be mutating some of my plants into trees. I totally forgot to click the record button, but now I'm on another dimension after opening a portal. I have successfully crafted myself a portal generator. So now it's time to explore this area. I then found an abandoned ship here, and this thing was really huge. But it's very rewarding down here because there were a lot of chests that I've discovered. Just like the other ships, I just hug one side of the wall in hopes that I can discover all the treasures down here. So I left the portal and went to another area with a higher difficulty. I'm hoping that this higher difficulty would mean more items to loot. After storing all my miscellaneous items, it's time to go to the next portal. So it delivered me to a very large area. Like, wow. It didn't take long for me to discover the ship which I need to find. So here it is. And just like the previous one, the area below is very huge. It's like a huge labyrinth. So I just followed my trick to exploring labyrinths of sticking to one side of the wall. I eventually found the vault here, and oh my god, it contained like 5 vaults, and each of these vaults contains a lot of goodies. So this one was pretty rewarding compared to the earlier one. Higher difficulty does yield higher loots. I mean, that's a given, of course. I then continued exploring outside of this area so I can locate a bunch of chests that also contains really good stuff. So yeah, portal generator is a real game changer if we want to farm like a lot of goods. Crystals that we use to teleport here are easily obtainable by the rewards from either the vaults or the chests that we can get from here. And upon returning home from all the exploration I did, I have like 27,000 tokens right now. So I bought a bunch of stuff. I bought myself a recipe for a tier 2 locker storage and a tier 2 drone, as well as a butterfly that has a multiplier of 1,400. Alright, so that was pretty rewarding. So yeah, I have this locker right here called ETC, and all I do here is just drop all my stuff and the drone will sort it out for me. Drones are amazing, I love them. I then made a bunch of aquariums. I was hoping that I can craft some fish sometime soon. These will contribute to our animal numbers in the planet. I then made a couple more trees for more oxygen and plant numbers. I have another area now which I decided to place all my tree spreader with. I just need a oxygen fuse and a optimizer. Also, I was very happy to see that my water life collector can actually catch some fish eggs. So now we don't need to craft this. We have a fish egg that gives like 350% multiplier. I had so many things to do, but suddenly a meteorite just decided to hit my base, so I decided to just hide in my base because I don't really like to work on a shaky environment such as this, and it's really dark. And yeah, once the asteroid event was done, I then inserted the 2 fishes, and look, we have fish. So I made a couple more aquariums. So right now, we will expand our fish empire soon. For now, these 2 would work. I then crafted the new tier 2 locker. The storage capacity of this thing is huge. Like, it's amazing. I like it so much. So I of course plan to change everything to the tier 2 locker now. I then crafted myself a bunch of fish farm. So these things produces even more animal stats, also some oxygen, pressure, and insects. So this is way better than the aquarium. Look, there are fishes under the water, which is nice. All I really need to do right now was keep making these tier 4 heaters, drillers, everything, and just further increase the terraformation index. I then crafted myself a tier 2 gas extractor, and with this we can now extract a new type of gas. So we can extract nitrogen canisters now. And then explored the beach area, which we haven't done yet. I've been wanting to do this for a while now, but I only got time now. I kept getting distracted by something else and I never really explored this place. And now we're here, and as you can see, it's a beach. Was very happy to see some frogs here so I can get their eggs so I can make more amphibian farm. But I only ever saw that one. There was nothing else here. Another thing I discovered here was an underwater base. It's probably not an underwater base. It's just submerged in water. But, well, it looks like an underwater base. No, it shouldn't be, right? Because, like, you know, no one could live under this water. Anyways, it looks really nice down here. If only there wasn't water inside these structures, then I guess this would be a really cool base idea. Anyhow, I explored a bit on the beach and there were a bunch of fishes and seaweeds here, also corals. It's really nice to see. Anyways, moving forward, I swam towards an island. I wasn't sure what's in here, but I will discover it now. I also happened to find some more of those cosmic quartz that we want so bad. There were also a couple of buried chests here and there, so very happy to find these. There wasn't really anything important down here. It's just, it looks nice. And there's like this area of the beach, a couple of chests. And well, that's it. I then went to the area where the green and white bowls were before, where there were a lot of ice. And now some of the ice are melted. It's not completely melted yet, but I was able to get a couple of chests from here. Other than that, I just encircled around the world looking for these frog ponds and getting their eggs because as I keep saying, I want more amphibian farms at my base. Totally forgot that I bought that really expensive butterfly. So now I made a butterfly farm for it and spread it across the base. I then made a farm outside so I can start farming for wheat and cocoa. They are a really good food source. They give a bunch of life recovery. Also, if you bake them into a cookie, the cookie will give you a short boost in speed. And then mass produce a lot of fish because I really need that animal number so I can unlock more new recipes. Currently, this is the best that I can provide my world red with the most animals out of all my structures that I have unlocked so far. Currently, we're at 85% towards the mammal stage. We're very close, just a few more minutes, I guess. I then mutated some of my existing frog eggs to something that gives like a 150% boost in its multiplier. It isn't much, but better than nothing. And this is what they look like. So, a 5 plug. They're like color purple, as the other one, the Silos frog, they're colored green. Wow, frogs! Kokak. Anyhow, I continued harvesting a lot of the planktons and fish egg. I continued spamming the heck out of fish farms as they are really good at, you know, spreading animals around the world. Since we're very limited to the amount of frog eggs that we have, I have no idea where to get more aside from trying to locate the frog nest all over the planet. Also, I recently unlocked a thing called the Insect Spreader Rocket. Now we can multiply the amount of insect we make in this planet. So I'll need to craft a lot of bee larvae in order to send a bunch of rockets to outer space. I then changed my drip to something else. Now we look cooler in black. I believe I found these somewhere. I just don't recall it. But yeah, we have a new suit now. Also, I recently unlocked a new drill, a tier 5 drill. So I dismantled most of my tier 4 ones and I will change them to a tier 5 drill. I want to make use of a optimizer to optimize drills that I'm planning to make. And just look at how big the tier 5 drill is. It's so humongous that I think it's like twice the size of a biodome. Anyhow, I can basically fit about 4 of them here. And then I have a tier 2 machine optimizer that can boost all of the stats by 100%. Because, I mean 1000%, because I can insert about 3 fuses inside. So I just decided to insert like 2 of them at the same time. It's not really the most optimal space, so I think I'll relocate it. And since the tier 2 optimizer boosts like 8 machines, I will think of a more bigger space for this. So I found the perfect place. It looks pretty flat here. It's just near the starting area with mushrooms. So my plan here is to surround this one optimizer with 8 tier 5 drills. The tier 2 optimizer's range is really large, so I don't need to worry about clumping them all together in one place. I also did the same thing to my heater. I changed it to a tier 2 optimizer and crafted even more heater, about 8 or more. Just look at how huge the tier 5 heater is compared to the tier 4 one. Like, oh my god, it's so big. I then crafted myself an animal shelter. Not like I have any animal right now, but you know, I'm just being ready. Other thing I unlocked was this thing called the ecosystem, and this thing can produce larvas for me, and it also gives a huge number of plants. And so I place a bunch of them on my base, so this thing can now produce us like maybe a bee larva, a silkworm, butterflies, random stuff, random larvas. So I'm very happy with this product, so we don't need to manually craft our bee larvas now. I upgraded my worm locker into a tier 2 locker, so I can store a lot of random worms that we'll be getting on our ecosystem. I also added a feeder on our animal shelf. When we get an animal, it'll be useful. I then got a blueprint for a tier 2 beehive. Now this thing will produce both honey and the bee larvas. And checking the current stage we're at right now, we're at like mammal stage and just 6% towards a terraformed planet. So just a few more, I guess, and we've completed our mission. I then continued sending a lot of rockets in outer space. Currently, we have our insect spreader. This will surely help in multiplying the amount of insects we have in the planet right now. I also added another ore extractor to our sulfur farm. I didn't know that I need a lot of sulfur, not until like I ran out. Then I continued launching a lot more rockets to outer space. So I did this for a while just to hasten our terraformation so we can reach terraformed planet state. I then crafted myself 10 pieces of the tier 2 drones that I recently bought. These things were faster than the normal drone. I'm not sure, maybe 3 times faster. I then continued spreading ecosystem all over my base because this thing provides a lot of insect stats as well as oxygen, I believe. Also plants. And I needed more beehives so I can launch more rockets in space. I also unlocked the tier 2 version of the butterfly farm. So now I have a place for all the butterflies that have been produced by the ecosystem. And here we have a tier 2 aquarium. Just a bigger version of the aquarium we have. Like way bigger. You can insert about 3 fish eggs here, which increases the multiplier by 3. And then I decided to take a break and go ahead and went to the cooking station. Made myself a cookie for an achievement. So yeah, more rockets to space. Right, also, I now had a DNA manipulator that can create creatures, so we can now have some animals on our shed. But in order to make one, we need to use this DNA extractor where we extract genes from random things like larvae, eggs, so we can have each specific part to make the creature. Now that I have most of the traits I needed, I synthesized a creature DNA. This thing had about 1,000 animal multiplier, and this is what it looks like. I'm not sure how to describe this thing, but our first animal. I made even more, so well, this is what they look like. I'm not really sure what I made here, but yeah, creatures. Anyways, the only thing left is to further enhance our multipliers for heat, pressure, oxygen, and biomass, and we will have a terraformed planet. So I kept making a lot of drills all over the planet, launched more rockets, of course, and there was a new rocket type called the animal spreader. So this is like a giant aquarium towards space. Pretty cool. And here's a quick look on the entire base so far. We have our drills here near the mushroom forest. Let's call it the mushroom forest since it produces mushroom. And this is my base right now. Wow. So yeah, I basically just AFK till like we nearly reach 100% of terraformation. And after a bit more waiting, we have terraformed the planet. So yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. Bye now.